welcome back to Robot Wars, and what an interesting heat this is looking out to be. Not gonna spoil it, let's just head to the Battleboard and see the lineup. Ooh, I can just feel the carnage coming our way as 259, our former reigning champions, now seeded number 20, comes back into the Warzone to take on fellow veterans, Blacksmith and Advanced Mimic 2. We also have Hypnotist returning to the Warzone, taking on two rookie machines in the form of Junkie, that looks like something that you literally found at a scrapyard, and the slow lifter of Hedgie Pig. But here, our main attraction, Razer seeded number 4, two-time grand finalists, taking on two newcomers in the form of Pestilence and Petunia. Let the wars begin! Razer Crusher! Reached the grand finals both times and has proven to be a very dangerous force to deal with. The beak has a crushing pressure of 9 tons and the wings can help the machine right itself when overturned, although really slowly. But it's also quite quick and can easily turn on its own axis due to the Omni wheels on the back, which are also exposed. The armor also isn't exactly all that tough, but Razer's a two-time grand finalist and has even held its own against our current champions. In fact, Razer was mostly in control of that fight, if memory serves correctly. Pestilence! Spinner! A basic box spot with a low front that makes it extremely hard to get underneath, with a swinging circular sword to slash into its victims to deliver a computer virus. That's what they say it'll do anyways. The speed of the machine is actually quite effective and catching it is going to be tricky, but there is a seriously high ground clearance, and that could cost them. Petunia Crusher! A Dutch machine that's had many battle experience from BattleBots, so it's no slouch in robot combat. A bigger two-wheel drive machine with a wedge and crushing beak that can actually help the machine self-right. Of course, as stated, it has two big wheels, and they are very exposed.
Robot ears, stand by.
Razer, the fourth siege with the crushing beak and self-righting wings. Pestilence, with the swinging arm with the circular saw. And the Dutch machine, Petunia, with the crushing
3,
beak.
2, 1, activate.
Who will be Razer's first victim? Oh, Petunia coming after Razer, and now Pestilence coming after Petunia, and Razer releases a pit, and they both fall down! Down goes Pestilence, down goes Petunia, in Razer's quickest victory yet! That's that, Razer going through the Gold Rumble, but in my opinion, that wasn't as great a performance as we've seen from Razer. But this is the result. Pestilence into the bronze, Petunia silver, Razer gold, but not as great a performance as we've seen before. Next up, Hypnodisc, Junkie, and Hedgie Pig. Hypnodisc Spinner! They've returned with their hypnotizing flywheel and streaming in the hopes of doing much better this series as opposed to the last two wars. They've refitted their machine in an attempt to make it more effective and think they finally have it sorted out. Of course, the exposed wheels are still lingering and there is a ground clearance. Junkie Spinner! Right, so this machine has clearly been built out of a literal scrapyard, and I'm not 100% convinced with how well it'll stand up to spinning attacks. The front one seems effective, the drummer definitely is effective, but I'm concerned with the structural design of the machine, and I'm also curious with how well it'll drive. Hedgie Pig Lifter! A small body design with a lifting arm and low wedge. The lifting arm can help the machine to right themselves if flipped over, and it has fairly decent lifting power. But the weapon is very slow, just like the drive, and the big exposed wheels are also a major issue.
Robot ears, stand by.
Hypnodisc with the lethal spinning flywheel. Junkie, the scrapyard machine with the wedge and the spinning drum. And Hedgy Pig with the lifting arm.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
We will come out on top of this one. Well, the lifting arm of Hedgy Pig landing upwards already. That's probably not the best thing. Hypnodisc being battered by Junkie, who then gives Hedgy Pig a taste of their power. Hedgy Pig taking damage to the exposed wheels, and I said that would be a problem, as well as the slow, sluggish design. The low wedge on the front of Hedgy Pig, however, definitely seems stronger than Junkie's. And something's come up, and I think that's off Junkie, one of the wheels. Hedgy Pig now in trouble. I also question the structural design of Junkie. Hypnodisc seems to be dealing with that. Hedgy Pig now pushing away, and something else has come off, and has Hedgy Pig now come to a halt. They span, but I think this might be the end of Hedgy Pig now. Junkie self-rights. Something's come off of Junkie. I think that's a part of the wheel. And Junkie, well, they're holding up better than I thought they would. But I still question the design, and that's it! The one strike, that's all they needed! And that's the end of Junkie, on fire and immobilized! One more strike for good measure! And Junkie, they're not going anywhere. They're crashing out into the Silver Rumble. Hedgy Pig, they crash out into the Bronze. Both machines need serious repair work, while Hypnodisc, definitely in stronger form, through to the Gold Rumble. And let's just hope that both Junkie and Hedgy Pig can get themselves repaired in time for their respective Rumbles. Anyways, next up, 259 Blacksmith and Advanced Mimic 2. 259 Spinner. Back again to reclaim their title after crashing out in the Death or Glory last time around. The big blade is pretty deadly looking and the drive is fairly good, but the wheels are exposed, and as we've seen in the first wars, righting themselves is not the easiest as there is no real Shremek. Blacksmith Spinner. Back for a third series and fully rebuilt with a new style weapon to do some real damage. Instead of a big hammer, the swinging arm now swings down a spinning blade to rip and tear the opposition with a flamethrower still, somehow. The weapon can also still help them self-right, but now there's a ground clearance issue, which they'll have to be careful of. Advanced Mimic 2. Control Bot. They've rebuilt their machine entirely after Backwhacker was done with them in the New Blood Championships. The design is actually meant to be more effective than their last design and meant to stop machines getting stuck like Backwhacker. Not overly convinced with the effectiveness of the tongue, and now that there are more exposed wheels, well, you can guess what that means.
Robot ears, stand by.
259 with the spinning flywheel and former reigning champions. Blacksmith, now with the spinning blade on the arm and flamethrower, again, somehow. And Advanced Mimic 2 with the crushing lid head and the flipping tongue.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Never really got to see the spinning tongue on the original Advanced Mimic design. Will we see it here? Well, that's if Blacksmith doesn't cause it problems and attack from the rear. And now, once again, Backwhacker knows this. They had to go through this, and now 259's going through it. They're stuck between Advanced Mimic 2's weapon, but they can easily get out of it. That's very, very, very lucky for them. And now, Blacksmith pushing Advanced Mimic 2 into the weaponry of 259! And out they go!
Well, that's the end of Advanced Mimic! They're gone! Look at this! There, the attack! A bit of Blacksmith, mostly 259 and their blade as they push Advanced Mimic 2 out the arena. And now, 259 to cause problems to Blacksmith. The little front woodlet prongs are gone, and now, down the pit, and that's the end of Blacksmith. They crash down into the Silver Rumble as 259 definitely seems better, progresses through to, to the Gold Rumble as I think Blacksmith's trying to self-right themselves out of the pit. You don't have the right weapon for the job, my friends. I am sorry. Blacksmith will have to settle for the Silver Rumble. Advanced Mimic 2, they crash out into the Bronze Rumble, and 259 snags a spot in the Gold Rumble, which they haven't done since Series 1. So here are how our 3 Rumbles look. The Gold Rumble with 4th Siege, Razer, Hypnodisc, and 20th Siege, 259. Though I'm wondering if Razer will be in much better fighting conditions than they were in its earlier fight. The Silver Rumble consists of the Dutch Machine, Petunia taking on Blacksmith, who we just saw, as well as the Junkyard Machine, Junkie. I'm wondering if they've prepared themselves in time after Hypnodisc got to them. But this is the first fight of the Bronze Rumble with Pestilence, Hedgy Pig, and Advanced Mimic 2. I wonder how this fight's gonna go.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Bronze Rumble with Pestilence, the swinging spinning blade, Hedgy Pig, the sluggish machine with the lifting arm, the slowest in this fight, in fact the whole heat actually, and Advanced Mimic 2 with the crushing chest top and the flipping tongue. How improved is it from their last build?
2, 1, activate.
Cosmetically, Advanced Mimic 2 looks amazing, it really does. I'm just wondering how more effective it is. Well, it's clamping down, or at least trying to, and look at that from Hedgy Pig to lift Advanced Mimic 2 up. That's quite impressive. And now Pestilence slamming underneath and aren't bringing their blade into play. Hedgy Pig will collide with that. And Advanced Mimic 2, well, being outpushed here by Pestilence, and they're both in the pit! Down goes Pestilence, and down goes Advanced Mimic 2! So it's Hedgy Pig going through to the death or glory. I think they're a little bit surprised as well. Well, how about that for a turn-up? I thought either Pestilence or Advanced Mimic 2 could have gone through, but nope! It's Hedgy Pig, the slow machine with the lifting arm, who will be going through to the death or glory, and it'll be Pestilence and Advanced Mimic 2 going home early. Well, that I didn't expect. Hedgy Pig going through over Pestilence and Advanced Mimic 2, who both had a more effective wedge-ish design. They both crash out, however. It's Hedgy Pig going through to the death or glory, and next up, the Silver Rumble with the Dutch Machine, Petunia, Junkie, and Blacksmith.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Silver Rumble with the Dutch Machine, Petunia, with a crushing beak. Junkie, the scrapyard machine with the wedge and the spinning drum. And Blacksmith with the spinning blade and the flamethrower. Ready to swing into
3,
action.
2, 1, activate.
So, who will come out victorious here? Well, Blacksmith to come in on the attack on Petunia, but Junkie negates that and decides to attack Petunia themselves. Petunia Now, driving into that pit release button to hopefully throw one of them into the pit. They take a while to get up to speed, Petunia, don't they? Just watching them as Blacksmith gets flung up and over, and now gets flung up by Junkie and thrown out the arena. That's the end of Blacksmith. Look at this, that's the self-right. One bang from the drum, and that's the end of Blacksmith. They're thrown out of the competition. And now for Junkie to push away at Petunia, who's trying to get away, and a flung, and a batted, and off comes one of the tires. One of the tires is gone. And I think the other's gone as well. So Petunia is now completely immobilized and have now been completely destroyed. Well, how about that? The slam into the wall, and there it goes. Petunia's destruction, separated from the body. There's nothing left. The arm's gone. There's a burning motor on the floor. The wheels are gone. Petunia, they can't self-right. Junkie, done very well. They took inspiration from Hypnodisc quite clearly.
Cease.
They're through to the death or glory in a very destructive fashion. Well done, Junkie. And if they keep that up, they might even get a rematch against Hypnodisc and do better against them as opposed to the preliminary fight. Blacksmith battered out the arena. Petunia, well, we saw what happened to them. They both crashed out, and it's Junkie going through to join Hitchbig in the Death or Glory. Next up, 4th seed Razer, 20th seed 259, and Hypnodisc.
Robot ears, stand by.
The Gold Rumble with 4th seed Razer, the crushing beacon self-running wings. Hypnodisc destructively got here with their spinning flywheel. And 20th seeds 259 with their big flywheel blade. And once again, got a machine out the arena.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Haven't seen 259 do that since Series 1. And Hypnodisc, they come in and do some damage, and have done. They've knocked, I think, a tire off of 259. Off comes another one. Razer now trying to get involved. How can they? Another tire's gone from 259. And it has to be said here, Hypnodisc a lot more destructive. And now Razer in trouble. They're being ganged up on by two bladed machines. I think something's come off of Razer, and there's no real life as 259 throws Hypnodisc into the air. And I'm wondering, is something wrong with Razer? They're not moving. Hypnodisc, are they okay? Good to see they are, as 259 drives themselves into the pit. Oh, that was poor, wasn't it? And a good fling off there on Razer, and sends them into the pit.
Cease.
And it's Razer crashing out into the Death or Glory along with 259. Second time they've been there, as Hypnodisc looks far more impressive this series. Makes their way to the Heat final and could do very well going forward. Although that is a surprise, seeing Razer crash into the Death or Glory. I guess they hadn't fixed themselves as much as we had hoped. 259, they also crash out with them. Hypnodisc is through to the Heat final. Well done to them. It's the first Heat final. Razer and 259, however, still have one fight left, one final chance of reaching the Heat final. But they'll have to go through not only each other, but also Junkie from the Silver Rumble and Shocker Hedgepig from the Bronze Rumble.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Death or Glory with Hedgy Pig, with the lifting arm, Junkie the scrap machine with the wedge and spinning drum, 259 with the spinning flywheel, and Razer the 4th seed, surprisingly, with the crushing beak and stream mech
3,
wings.
2, 1. Activate.
Definitely didn't expect to see Razer here, who immediately come on the attack on Hedgy Pig as Junkie takes on yeah, I was wondering why the lights hadn't gone up. Thank you. And now Junkie tearing into 259 as Razer grapples with Hedgy Pig, trying to stay in the competition and slamming them into the wall. 259 now coming on the attack on Junkie. I wonder how effective that is. Well, they both suck against the angle grinders, and you can't really bend them. What was that? Something's come off of 259, burning, and I think it was important. I think it was a drive, as Razer now in trouble, and Hedgy Pig trying to get away from Junkie, as Junkie now comes in on the attack on Razer and hits them completely out the arena. Razer's gone out! Well, that's a surprise! So, the 4th seed Razer... Oh god, as they bounce off the wall! Oh, that's gonna be painful for them, isn't it? Meanwhile, Hedgy Pig dealing with 259! And they're on the edge of the pit, and down they go! And I don't think they could have gone away. I think Junkie knocked something vital out of them. There's the burning thing out of 259 on the floor. You can just see it there. I think that was what helped 259 drive. Meanwhile, getting back onto the action, Hedgy Pig lifting up Junkie to get them away from the angle grinder. And are now pushing away at Junkie. Junkie hits the blade, the lifting arm, and can get away now. And now Hedgy Pig's in real trouble because Hedgy Pig is very slow. But Junkie, they've thrown themselves onto the edge of the pit, and they can't get away from there. And Hedgy Pig will be getting their victory as Junkie finally falls into the pit. And Junkie's gone, and it's Hedgy Pig going through the face Hypnodisc in the heat final. Poor Junkie, they crash out sadly. Hedgy Pig, what a fight this was. A fight of shocks and turns and upsets at every corner. Razer batted out the arena by Junkie, 259 pitted by Hedgy Pig, and then Junkie falls too far onto the pit and Hedgy Pig pushes them down it. Talk about a roller coaster of ups and downs. Hedgy Pig goes through to the heat final to join Hypnodisc. They're the ones getting a grudge match and a rematch. Will Hedgy Pig come out on top, or will Hypnodisc display their dominance like before?
Roboteers, stand by.
Heat final. Hypnodisc with the lethal flywheel, and Hedgy Pig, the surprise package from the Death or Glory with the lifting arm. Could we see another upset here?
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Or will we get, well, what we expect, which is Hypnodisc knocking out those wheels. Don't forget, Hypnodisc is a lot faster than Hedgy Pig, and Hedgy Pig will try to correct that as something's come off, and off comes one of the wheels, or part of it anyways. The wheels are double mounted. Off comes another off the front, and the lifting arm goes up for no real reason, and Hypnodisc to easily come at those wheels and numb them up and rip them off as I think Hypnodisc's stuck on Hedgehog. Off comes another wheel, and I think a whole wheel's gone as well. Two now, I think. One from each side, and Hypnodisc. Well, we wondered if we would get another upset or if we would get what we thought would happen, and it's the latter quite clearly, with Hypnodisc tearing apart Hedgehog, and the wheels are now gone. There's one left, and it can barely help. It can barely turn them as they're flung away again from the flywheel. Poor Hedgehog. They've got no real movement, no real mobility. They can't drive outside their circumference. They will be counted out as immobilized. They are immobilized now. The wheel is gone. Their final wheel is out. And it's the end for Hedgehog as cease is called. And it's Hedgehog, despite putting up a fairly decent fight, will be crowing home as Hypnodisc, new and improved with a lethal spinning flywheel, progressed through to the series semi-finals. Well done to Hypnodisc. A lethal force to be reckoned with now as they drive into the angle grinder and spin into lights. Hypnodisc could definitely be a machine to watch out for going through. They definitely seem a lot more impressive than the last two wars, and it's paid off. Well done to Hypnodisc as they make it through to the series semifinals, and we look forward to seeing how far you go. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.